When you make art, there are other considerations. For instance, content. What story are you telling with your art? What story is it you hope to convey by painting your painting? We have Washington crossing the Delaware in a very heroic scene. You see, that's conveying all kinds of sort of content information. You know, it's patriotic. The flag's flapping in the breeze. He's standing and resolved to cross the Delaware and do what's necessary to win the war. He actually won from the South, by the way. It doesn't really matter. So the idea is that it conveys and it sweeps you up into this sort of patriotic fervor. The message is there. And it's true of almost every other one of these paintings. They all come with underlying philosophical content. Every great painting also has some kind of subject. Now the subject is self-explanatory, but if you're a painter, you've got your paint kit, you've got your canvas set up, you've got the choice. You can paint the king or you can paint the chambermaid. Now, when you pick those subjects, they're going to take you in vastly different places. And every painting is a choice by an artist. Every artist makes a choice. He's going to spend a week, a month, 6 months painting a painting. Very difficult. And they are sometimes excruciatingly painful to do. So, are you going to paint President of the United States? Are you going to paint the shoe shine guy down on the corner? That's a decision you make. And when you make that decision, it carries you in different places. And then we have style. Every piece of art comes with some kind of stylistic designation. And style is very interesting because if you paint a painting of the wrong style at the wrong time, you are rejected. There's a place called Putnam County, which is just adjacent to the city of Charleston, large suburban county. And there are the wives of car dealers live down there in droves. I mean, all these car dealers. And they all paint in French Impressionist style. Beautiful paintings. They're terribly, I mean, they really are talented people. Some of their work is really quite nice. But they're just like 110 years out of phase. And you know, you'll never read in the history books about the Putnam County Impressionists. You're just not going to find them in the textbooks. So you have to understand that you know that style is like clothing. You know, if you wear the wrong thing to the wrong time and wrong place. I was driving out by my hometown one day, and this was remember Midnight Cowboy, the outfit that John Voight wore. This was like 15 years after that film, and standing beside the highway was the Midnight Cowboy, complete with fringe. And I thought, where's that guy been, in prison? I mean, he can't possibly be that far behind, you know, fashion-wise. And there's an evolving system. But style is terribly important. I mean, there's fabulous, there's great art out there, but it just isn't its time and place. And of course, the most famous piece of stylistic injustice is with the French Impressionists. I mean, Vincent van Gogh, the poor sucker, never sold a painting, not one. Well, he sold to his brother. You don't count that. I mean, I sold stuff to my brother. That does not count. The man never sold a painting. A little guy, a little thing about that big today, you know, that size. You know, you stick it in your coat. I thought about it. You know, $42 million. And this sucker couldn't give them away. I mean, now that's almost purely a function of style. His style was simply rejected. Anybody here familiar with the Barnes collection? Well, anyway, there was Dr. Barnes. He's the guy who's responsible for you having silver or something or other put in your eyes when you're born. If your mother should have syphilis, it will prevent you from going blind. And you can write that down if you will. But the idea is that he became fabulously wealthy. He had got the patent on that. And he went to Europe and bought up literally truckloads of French Impressionist paintings, took them back to Philadelphia, and he was laughed at by the sort of serious art collectors in Philadelphia. Well, you know, imagine fast forward 50 or 75 years, Barnes is getting old, and the museum directors are coming to Dr. Barnes for his collection. I mean, they're salivating. I mean, the guy has, it's unbelievable. And he's got them hung in his house, 4 deep on the walls. You know. And they would come in, and his favorite sport was to abuse them. You didn't like me back then, did you? And so he left them to a small black college in Philadelphia, and with the instructions that they would be left in his house, hung in exactly the way he had hung them, because they told several interesting stories. But anyway, the tables had turned. His collection, which was thought to be laughable, at one point becomes probably the largest repository of an individual, value-wise, in terms of cash in America. And that all happened because of style, a shift in style. Okay. So when you look at art, you can say we have stylistic issues, we have content issues, issues are one of my favorite words. We have form issues, and we have subject issues. And once you start to see art as, you know, having those fundamental foundational ideas going on in them, you know, you're no longer swept away by the large-eyed puppy dog with the tear that's right here. You see, that's what I want everybody to understand. And that art is also this great sweep of quality and I mean, where does art stop and where does art begin? I mean, it's a tremendous world out there. I mean, we go everywhere, you know, from Yosemite all the way, a tremendous spectrum, all the way to Elvis on Velvet. I mean, how do you make sense of this? And basically, you make sense of it by saying, Elvis is a subject. Now, there's a popular idea, or was, particularly among the now aging population, and that the content, what's the story? You know, Elvis is still a heartthrob in most of his on velvet paintings. He's being done, you know, you're being swept away by Elvis's incredible persona. Stylistically, it is kitsch. I mean, it is the absolute bottom rung on the artistic ladder. It's still art. It is still art. And then we get to form. Now, I want to take you down here. We've got a few minutes left. We do have a few minutes left. We've got much time left. So form is where the game is really played.